It's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day. It's hotter today than it was yesterday. It's about 90 degrees right now, and it's still before lunch. I was going to go back over to the Sunset Cliffs property and install a few plants and show you the finished raised border. But I had an appointment also in the garden this morning at 8:30 with a videographer from the Vallecillos Water District, which is the San Marcos Water District. They're getting ready to drop their contest winners, their WaterWise contest winners. And one of the winners is a follower of mine, Stephanie. And the videographer, Alicia, thought it would be really cool if she could come over here and meet me and she could take a little footage of that. So I said, absolutely. So she came over, we talked for a while. Follower Stephanie came over, we got to meet each other, she got to see the garden. I will be taking you over to see her winning garden as soon as she's ready. She's feeling a little shy about it. I tried to build her up and encourage her, reminded her that you guys are the friendliest bunch of people in the world and would just love to see her efforts. And she's an award winner, so it has to be good, right? So anyway, that that took a lot of time. It's hot, so I'm going to go to Sunset Cliffs tomorrow morning early to do the planting and show you the finish work. Today, Greg and I have staged some umbrellas out here, and I'm going to show you how I am going to stage this beautiful Eve's Needle crest that our Sunset Cliffs client Elaine gifted me with. She's got quite a few of these in her garden and in pots and in the back, and another one or two in the small pieces in the front. You were all super impressed with how big this thing was. So some of you might be a little dismayed that I plan on cutting it up. Don't freak. Couple things about the Eve's Needle. It is an invasive cactus. It grows like a weed. It's too big for this pot, and I would rather just plant, some beautiful specimen pieces of the crest. Also, this one has a tendency to revert back to its regular non-crested form quite quickly. So I don't need this in my tiny little garden, but I do need a piece. So let's just dig in, shall we? We're going to start here. Okay, let's see how that looks. Well, that's pretty freaking amazing, isn't it? But I'm going to repurpose this entire cactus. Trust. I'm not pitching it. I'm just cutting it up for parts. And see here, Greg, can you see here where it's starting to revert back to its original form? That's an example of that. Okay, there's another nice piece. Put that there. See, you can see also here, well, you probably can't from your perspective, and I can't, it's heavy, but here and here has already been cut, where I think Elaine has gifted pieces to people of the cactus. See here and here. So, no harm, no foul. All of this part though, is really seriously attached to the actual base of the crest. So I'm not wanting, cut that off, to disrupt this. Let's flip it over and see what it looks like. Oh yeah, you can see better from this perspective. There is actually a place right here where I can cut if I go straight through the root system. And in case you're wondering, this is a DeWalt Sawzall, and it is the best thing since sliced bread. If you've got a root-bound cactus or succulent in a pot, you can shove this Sawzall down in there and cut out those roots and excavate your plant without even breaking a sweat. Love this thing. Okay, so here's another piece that could also absolutely be worked with. And, ow, this piece, because it has, has these cuts on it, I'll probably be doing some more cutting on this later. Like I might try to take this piece by cutting straight down through here, and maybe if I cut this way and through, I can get both of these. I don't want this, and I don't want this. So I'll deal with that later on my time. But you can see now I've got 3 really, really nice pieces of eaves needle to work with. Now you're probably thinking, well, good grief, you're not going to plant that thing in the pot without hardening it off, are you? And the answer is yes, I am. 1, I'm very impatient. I don't want to wait. 2, this soil, which I've also added perlite to, it's dry as a bone, and I will not be applying any water anytime soon. So it can literally harden off directly in the pot. I've had really good success with that in the past in most applications. One exception, now that I think about it too, I wanted to show you this Calisto cactus. This was a piece off of the one that I brought from Chula Vista that flopped. And I came out today and it had fallen over in its pot because I had thrown it in there 2 weeks ago as a cutting. Now, that soil in the pot that I put it in was moist. It wasn't, dripping wet, but it wasn't dry either. It was a little moist. I haven't watered this, obviously, intentionally at all in the 2 weeks that it's been in that pot. But as I went to replant it, I looked at the cut, and look what I found. I found wet, goopy, rotting yuckiness. And the cautionary tale here is how careful we have to be about applying water to our plants, particularly in this heat. You have, I've converted many of you over to the idea of not watering in extreme heat. Remember, think about it, when the plant is stressed and goes dormant, it's night-night. It is no longer intaking water. It's no longer intaking nutrients. It's just hibernating. It's sleeping. So if its roots are sitting in wet soil, they're going to rot. Now, it's not going to happen tomorrow. It won't rot. You won't see the evidence tomorrow. You may not see the evidence for a week or 2 or a month, but you will. You're going to walk out one day to a black, goopy, soft, liquid mess. So I can't stress enough, please don't water your succulents in extreme heat. Instead, provide shade wherever you can. And if you can't provide shade, then just pray to the garden gods that your plant uses all of that moisture that it has retained in its system for this very purpose and survives. It might get a little sunburn, it might wilt a little bit, but a succulent has a better chance of recovering an episode of heat and drought than it does an overwatering event where it rots. So I hope that helps. For those of you that were concerned about that, I know it's super counterintuitive, but it is absolutely the way to go. My garden, I haven't watered it in a week, and everything looks very perky.
So is it okay to water?
When is it okay to water? Many of you have asked, and that's a really, really good question. It's okay to water when this heat wave breaks. when the heat wave breaks and the temperatures go back to a normal level and the plants begin to wake up. So let's say that it's not in the 90s, 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 like for the all week, all next week. Here in Vista, it's predicted to drop back down into the 70s next Saturday, a week from tomorrow. That would be a day, Saturday or Sunday, when I might consider sprinkling my plants in the event that that actually occurs and a spike in heat is not predicted right on the heels of that cooling event. But I mean, really, people look at your plants and how do they look? If they are wilted and pitiful, before you put water on them, take your multi-tool, dig down through the rock into the soil and feel it. Feel around. What I'm feeling is moisture, this is not dry. So despite the fact that it has been in the 90s for a week and I have watered this nary a once, the soil has still retained some moisture. So before you water, check your soil at the very minimum and make sure that it is indeed bone dry. Then if you still want to water, do it at night, do it very gently. That gives the plant all night with the cooler temperatures to, think about maybe waking up and taking that drink before it's assaulted the next day again with the heat. I hope this little PSA has helped. Now, moving on to the Salisto is still viable, I'm thinking, and we're going to find out. The way to see and check viability, ew. You getting that, Greg? Look at that. Slime time, guys. That is so disgusting. But you're going to cut, oh, God. Yeah, this is so sinewy, I can't even cut with it. So I'm going to grab my handy dandy Sawzall again. We cut until we have no more evidence of rot, until we see healthy tissue. Now, healthy tissue would be green, not brown. So let's cut some more. Let's not cut off my leg. Okay, now we're making some progress, aren't we? Okay, see this nice whitish, greenish tissue? Turgid, it's hard, it's not mush. There's still a little mush right there. Let's take it up just a little further. Okay. All right, now, since the pot that this plant lives in has soil that's damp, I am going to put this over in my garden of second chances over behind the air conditioner and let that wound callus and harden off. I am not going to torture this plant by planting it again as a cutting in wet soil. So that's that. Now, remember, this is dry as a bone, so we should be good. I am going to stage my beautiful Eve's Needle Crest. And this is where, if your succulent stands up, you've done your job, comes into play. I'm going to have to plant this fairly deep in order for it to stand up. Now, you could stake the plant, but I don't like the way that looks. And I know it's silly and it's only temporary, but that's just me. So, isn't this way better than that whole giant plant in this beautiful Susanok pot? I'm also going to top dress this very, very heavily to keep moisture away from the crown. Aw, that's so cute. I've got it backwards. Let me flip it around. There's some grooming that needs to be done. There's some leaves here, dead leaves here that I need to get out of there, out of that crook, but I'll work on that later. Right now, I just want you to have the fun of seeing this done. And then we'll follow it closely together, and I'll be checking on it from time to time to be sure that it's okay. Okay, so I've got the only appropriate rock that I had on hand was the black 3/8, which I love, but it's the same as I've got in the totem cactus, its neighbor. But that's okay. Susan's pots are so earthy and so organic that I'm always reluctant to top dress them with fiberglass. It just feels better to use more of a natural topping. And this little tiny lava rock is just fantastic. You have been super about sharing words of wisdom in the comments, and you have given all of us some great ideas about where to get shade cloth and shade covers and tents and whatnot. So I encourage all of you to check back in on the comments, even the day, even tomorrow or the day after, because some really, really good suggestions are springing forth with cute little tents that you can buy on Amazon, to other ideas. These are from people that live this life, that are in areas that are quite hostile and get in the triple digits every summer, and they've had to learn how to shelter and shade their plants as a way of life. It's not just a weird event like it is for us here in Vista. Okay, so you see how thick I'm going with this top dressing. Okay. And then I've got my burgundy lava boulder. Stage in here with it. And now I am feeling like my work is done. This is the most disgusting thing ever. Okay, so I would love for you guys to be able to see this all clean and tidy, but you'll have to wait maybe for Sunday Fun Day or Walkabout Wednesday. Somebody suggested a miscellaneous Monday. I really like that too, so I'll try to work that into the rotation. I'll do my, my little grooming and cleanup. When I came out this morning, there were tiny little footprints all the way through the sand, but there were no gifts left behind. So either a cat or something, I don't know, something small, walked all the way through, but they didn't bother anything, and they didn't poo or they didn't pee. So far, we are batting 1,000 with the sand. Okay, guys, there you have it. Don't water, provide shade, and check your soil before any watering event to be sure that it's good and dry. This has been Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day. Thanks for subscribing. Bye, guys.